I did have a lot of footballing heroes as I played. I used to watch, I was a Tottenham supporter when I was a kid growing up, so Glenn Hoddle was my idol. And funny enough, I done a big exhibition up in Birmingham about 3 weeks ago, and I met him there, but I did actually get to play against him. He was manager of Chelsea, and I was at Wimbledon or Sheffield United at the time, I can't remember, but he came on as sub, and I had the ball in the box. We were losing about 3-0, it didn't matter, but I went round him and he gave me a little tap and he went, good play there, mate. So I was, Glenn Hoddle was my idol growing up. There was always players that you played tougher against because you knew that they were tough lads. There was plenty that I went in tougher against because I had to give them a bit more welly. But I had a lot of battles, big battles. Steve McMahon was always a big battle, and I took him out early in the cup final in 1988. So that was one of the kind of biggest rivals that I had at the time, but there were others, but a lot of times it never materialised. You know, the press and the papers and the radio and the TV built it all up. You know, you had to Terry Erlocks and people like that, but me and Terry got on pretty well. Well, I played for Wales, obviously, so internationally, so I played against some great players. I think one of the best performances I ever saw, I was captain against Holland in the Euros. It was 94 Euros, and they beat us 7-1, but Dennis Bergkamp was their centre forward and captain. He was fantastic on that day. One of the best performances. But one of the best lads that I've played with, who I respected the most, was a lad called Gordon Strachan, who came from Man United. And we both joined Leeds around about the same time, and he was inspirational because of his age and his enthusiasm, and they made him captain over me. I went there kind of as captain, but when the season started, Howard Wilkinson, the manager, made Strachan captain, and I agreed with that, and he was inspirational, so for his age. So, you know, and I became a professional late on because I was kind of a young pro early on, then went non-league, semi-pro, so I had a job working on a building site, and then I got back in. So I admire people that are older that have that hunger. I think definitely the Villan in Premier League's gone. The other leagues don't get enough coverage, so which I found that out. You know, when I was in the old Premier League, I went down a season to play for Leeds, and we got back up. You don't get the same coverage, only on Yorkshire TV at the time, but I don't think there are the villains around now. I don't think the game is that way. There's a few cheeky chappies about, but none that you would say, cool, I wouldn't like to play against him on Saturday. I mean, I go and watch Watford. I've watched Watford in the Premier League and in the Championship, and there's no one that, I mean, some of the tackles I did, even some of the friendlier ones, I'd have been red carded straight away. So I don't think the villains are around anymore. Well, playing football into Hollywood is kind of unheard of. I mean, people have had little sessions into it. You know, Beckham, Stan Collymore have had little on-screen parts, but I'm probably one of the only ones that has prolonged it and made a career out of it. You know, and I was playing when Lock, Stock and Two Smoking Barrels came along. Guy Ritchie, Matthew Vaughan just asked me to do a cameo role in Lock, Stock and Two Smoking Barrels, and I did that, and it went from there. Then he wrote Snatch, and Lock, Stock done well at the time. And then I got the call from Hollywood, and the timing couldn't have been better because I was assistant manager at Queen's Park Rangers, and it wasn't going too well at the club, so I retired earlier than I wanted to be fair, but the only thing I haven't really done in my life was to be the manager in like the Championship or the Premiership. That's the only thing that's evaded me. I've done records, I've done books, I've done raw variety performance, I've done movies, I've done TV. It's endless, the list, but I never became the boss. So when I went to America, I started my own team called Hollywood All Stars, and we were kind of a semi-professional team, and I did it for 7 seasons, and we won the league 6 out of the 7. We come runners up the first year. So I suppose I've done it a little bit, but not on the big stage. When I first got my first job in Hollywood, we were doing a movie called Gone in 60 Seconds with Angelina Jolie and Nicolas Cage and Robert Duvall, and a couple of lads were playing football in the car park at Warner Brothers, and we was having a kick about, and Robert Duvall come out, and you know, he's an absolute legend, been in The Godfather and everything. He said, "Hey, Vinnie, come over here." And I went in his trailer, and his girlfriend at the time had cooked some cookies. Try these cookies. So I was sitting in Robert Duvall's trailer having one of his cookies and all that, and he was telling me about this new movie coming up with him and Ali McCoy in Scotland called Goal. And thankfully I said no, I didn't want to do it. But I took his cookies anyway. But I did sit there and looked out the window, and I thought, the lads back home could see me now. So that was probably my pinch myself moment, I'd say, yeah. In elementary, I was an Arsenal fan, and I did get a bit of stick from it, and I did. People say to me, "Why didn't you ask to change?" Well, I did. But it was something to do with the director's brother owned, or had something to do with Arsenal or something like that, or he was a big Arsenal fan, or he was part owner or something like that. So we didn't change it. And I was just privileged to be in it because it was such a great show to be in, you know, with Johnny Lee Miller and that, so and Susie. So I kind of bit the bullet on that one. I wasn't really well. People say to me, you know, what fashion did you follow? I was kind of a rude boy. Then I went a bit mod. I liked the mod, but I then went back to a skinhead. But before the cup final, when we played Liverpool in 1988, I'd got up early, and Dennis Wise was up early, and we were young and we were mischief makers. And we went out, and the barbers in Wimbledon was open, so I went in, and I had my hair cut with like a V in the back of it, which was Wise's creation. So yeah, shortly after that, I went to Leeds and signed for Leeds, and had it done again, and had the V put in, and I was quite popular at Leeds, and like a cult hero. And kids were getting suspended from school from having the Vinnie cut. And there was, I've got a picture of, in the barbers, we do the Vinnie cut. And kids were getting sent home from school for it, so it was fantastic, yeah. You know, I love the retro stuff. I mean, genuinely, I know a lot of people have got to, you know, bum it up what they're wearing, if you like. But I genuinely love the retro stuff. And my only recollection of Patrick was Matthew Letizia. He played for Southampton at the time. I was at Wimbledon. He flicked the ball up and he smashed it in, a fantastic goal. And I looked down, he had Patrick boots on. They used to have the two little white stripes. So that was my remembrance of them. But no, I love all the Villan gear and the black and the white and the gold. I love the black with the gold. I think the whole World Cup thing is obviously going political again, which I don't have nothing to do with. You know, if you want to talk about anything with fur and feather on, I'll talk about it all day. You know, conservation and nature and all that. I don't talk about politics. I don't get involved. But there are serious issues out there that need addressing. So yeah, it's not a topic that I talk about. I've been asked to do loads of stuff at the moment, especially, you know, this last couple of weeks concerning the World Cup. I've shied away from it all. I think there's issues and policies that need to be addressed to kind of jump on the bandwagon and earn money out of, you know, losing people during the construction. And you know, my daughter as a partner, she's a gay, happy girl, and yeah. So although I don't like getting in politics, there's a few issues I don't agree with. So it's not going to be the exciting World Cup that I'm used to. You know, I mean, I can remember the 1978 World Cup. That was like one of my earliest recollections. Well, my loyalties are to Wales, obviously because of the family and everything, but I'm English, so played for Wales, England fan.